Okay, ready to go.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're calling the meeting to order, and I will be starting by roll call. Please either raise your hand and or say here or present. Tim May. Janice Brokaw.
Present.
Charlene Looks. Barbara Hughes.
Present.
Yvette Minor, here, present. Mike Neely.
Here.
John Deloso.
Here.
And let the records reflect that Charlene is not present. Now we will go ahead and move on to announcements. All voting during the teleconference meeting shall be done by roll call. So if we have any roll call or announcements or meeting and adjustments, that will be done by roll call. I need to hear a verbal or see a physical hand raise. So, and we're going to go ahead and move on to section 4. And for consent calendar, these matters include routine financial and administrative actions that may be approved by consensus. Any committee member or member of the public may request that an item be removed from the calendar and have it placed with the action items. And I'm sorry, I did skip one. Sorry, I skipped any public appearances. Is there anyone in the committee or the meeting that has any issues they would like to address right now?
Do not see any members of the public in attendance. Jamie Anderson is here to answer any questions on behalf of library staff.
Well, technically, Commissioner Engbarth is here as a public member because I'm representing the commission here. So.
Right.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the clarification.
And thanks, Fred, for being here.
Sure.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to discussion items 5.1. We, the committee, is in charge of presenting a report to the commission. And as of this moment, we do not have the report on hand. We are working on it, but we need members of the committee to be a part of a subcommittee that will help write the report. So we have some people that are currently working on the report financial portion, and which is Mike. And so we would like to find out from the committee, is there anyone that would like to be a part of the subcommittee? You can verbally let us know or raise your hand to assist. That would be really great. Don't all jump in at once.
And section 2 is the big one. That's where we got a tale of what the library did last year.
So am I going to have to appoint anyone? I would love for you to freely choose to do so.
How will the committee meet and when? Because I'm out of town all of November.
We have to decide our schedule for that. We do have a few community members that will be going out of town, so we will be working with the schedule at hand. At this particular time, it seems as though if we can get it all done, we will have the report ready to go for December. But based on the amount of committee members that is going on vacation and so forth, it may be in January.
The year is halfway over at that point is the problem.
I understand that, but we have to work with what we got.
Yeah.
So based on that knowledge, is there somebody that would be willing to assist in that? I know I will be on there, and we also have Mike, but we need at least one other person to bounce ideas off of. Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and just take the 2 members that we currently have and move forward with the report. As the new commissioners come on board and new people come on board, we will ask that question once again to see if anybody would like to help out in that capacity. And then we do ask if Ray would raise support, would he be willing to assist us with the report?
Yes, of course. Madam Chair, in the past, our team has taken in the raw data, the text content, the graphs from Mike, et cetera. And then the subcommittee has made requests of us to provide certain images, things like that. We do all that. And then we present it in graphical format for the committee to review and approve.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And based on the committee members, we will go offline and we will figure out timeframes where we can meet to have those discussions. And based on the amount of people, we should hopefully have it all done. I'm gonna shoot for December, but don't quote me on it. No, but I will shoot for December to see if we can have that all done. And so we would have to bring that information back to the committee to get approvals. And so that would have to be done in November.
Yeah, quick question for Ray. If the December commission meeting is December 7th and we have to post it ahead of time, when would you need to get the copy, Ray?
I'm just spitballing a little bit here. We have the Thanksgiving gap in there where most of our team will be off for a couple of days. If we got the raw data in mid-November and we're able to turn around the first draft within a week, and the committee committed to reviewing it and providing whatever edits or changes they want, we can make the deadline. It'll be squeaky,
Okay.
but we'll certainly make it.
So what day, Ray? You said so November 16th.
Let me just look at a calendar, if I could take a moment. November 16th, that would be a great date.
Okay.
Okay, November 16th.
And just a note, when you're having discussions about the various dates, you want to be careful not to violate the Brown Act. You want to make sure that you don't have a quorum of this body, because you want to have those conversations in public.
Okay, we're in a good position with the 3 people. And so realistically, for those that will be on the committee, do you feel that's too short of a time? Because I'm looking at the calendar and I feel hesitant.
It's close. I mean, section 1 is fairly easy in that we just revise sort of the wording from last year. Section 2 is the big one. That's where we write down what the library did last year. Section 3, I will get done next week if I get some data. And then section 4 is only 1 page, but that's the important part. That's the conclusions. So.
Okay. As I'm looking at the time frame, I'm just feeling I would feel a little more comfortable if we just go ahead and push it back to January. And so as a committee as a whole, is that something that seems reasonable based on the timeframes? Is that something we would have to vote on in this forum, asking if everyone is okay with pushing it back to January?
We're going to have to see the report as a draft or before it goes. So it seems January seems to make sense to me. Because if
Right.
you just have to have it to them by the 15th. Yikes.
Right. And so if we look at January as the deadline, the next meeting in January will be January 4th. So we have the month of December. So my question to the committee members is, how many will be around in December?
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
that looks more promising. So my question is, do we have to vote on moving it back to January, or we just agree as a committee as a whole? Do we have to take a vote?
I don't know.
Are there any
The minor-
objections? You might ask if there are any objections.
Are there any objections? Okay, it looks good to me.
The
So
minor
we're gonna go
month has
ahead.
moved back and forth a bit the last 4 years I've been working on it. It's,
Okay.
It tends to work around the capacity of the committee. And the November 16th deadline for the December meeting was pretty tight. So if we're going to push it out a month, I'd rather not push the deadline for content out a full month. Maybe the first week in December would be a good, that's
Yes.
a more realistic request.
agree
on
to
our end
that.
as well. Thank you.
Okay, well, that makes me feel a little bit better. So if we're, because it, listening to the committee members and seeing who's in town, who's out of town, there's a lot of travel going on in November. So I feel more comfortable with the subcommittee meeting in the first week of December.
Well, we are allowed to exchange drafts, right?
Sure.
Amongst all committee members,
I think the
or just among
subcommittee,
the subcommittee?
the subcommittee. That's how we've done it in the past, at least.
Okay, well, then we will work offline. The subcommittee will work offline. And then we should hopefully have something solidified to come back in maybe the first or second week of December. Is that gonna work for people?
Well, I mean, if we're going to get it to Ray by December, the first week of December, we need to sort of do it before then, right?
So the first week of December, there's only 2 days. That's December 1st and 2nd. Okay, hold on, let me get my calendar out. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. The 3rd is a Saturday.
Right. Well, if we're going to get it to him by the 2nd, then we'd have to meet in November, sometime in November, in order to review it, right?
Well, what is the latest, Ray, for the month of December to have it ready to go to the board in January, on January 4th?
I'm going to look at the calendar here. The commission, the statutory requirement is 72 hours, but we actually have an internal process that's about a week and a half to 2 weeks. So the 21st of December is the due date for all draft commission items. That gives us 2 weeks before the meeting to work it out internally, make sure everything's right. And then Lisa has time to post at the end of the following week. That's ideal. You certainly let it slip into the following week, but it gets pretty tricky because Monday, the 26th is the day after Christmas. I think you see where I'm going with this. So backing up from the 21st, if I got the first draft on on Monday the 5th, then, and you plan to meet like the week of the 12th, then we could have that draft for you. We could have the draft layout for you. I have all the content by the 5th, you meet the following week, and then you get back to us with, please change this, please change that. I believe the final review then would have to be by email. And I don't know, that gets tricky from a Brown Act point of view. So
Right.
the committee would probably have to delegate final review to the subcommittee. And then we've got plenty of time to stay on schedule.
Okay.
Does that
So,
make sense?
yeah, so we would have to get everything to you by December 5th,
Uh-huh.
make any changes and all of that with the meeting the following week. So somewhere in the 12th to the 16th, we have to have a committee, measure-wide committee meeting.
Yeah, and I could commit to emailing a draft to the chair, by the 12th.
And have that solidified, changes all done. Pretty much we have to have all changes done by, I would feel comfortable having changes between the 12th and the 16th. And then getting that back to Ray so it could be ready to go to the commission on the 21st.
That works for us, and I want to remind you that we're at your service here. And we appreciate you wanting to work with us collaboratively, but we will somehow work with your schedule, whatever it is.
Okay. Okay, so based on what everyone just heard, we're gonna just go ahead and recap that. So we would have to get the report back to Ray by December 5th with all content back to Ray. We would have to have a meeting between December 12th and 16th, solidifying all changes, hopefully all changes, and get that back to Ray and have final approvals, and then it goes back to the commissioners by the 21st. Did I miss anything? Yes, Janice.
Are you talking about a meeting of the subcommittee or a meeting of the entire Measure Y committee the week of the 12th through the 16th?
The entire Measure Y, the 12th of the 16th, 12th
Okay.
through the 16th. The subcommittee will be working on the language and the information will be coming back to Measure Y committee, the 12th to the 16th, to solidify any changes and then get that back to Ray. Does that work for everyone? Any
And Chair
concern?
Minor, just a process question. Is it safe to assume that if my team receives your desired directed content on December 5th, you'll have already vetted the subcommittee will have already vetted its numbers among yourselves and with Myrna?
Right, that's what we did in the past, at least.
Okay, we just want to, no surprises on this end for anybody is what we're looking for.
We're gonna try to have it as completed as possible by May 5th. So less changes, right? So that's
Right.
the goal. It's goal. So are there any concerns or questions about that process? Is it all clear for everyone?
This is Myrna, and I'm more than happy to work with the committee and the subcommittee. I will be out the last 2 weeks of December, so but just as an FYI, I did take note of your dates, and you'll be well done before then. But just in case, wanted to let you all know that I would be out of the office.
Okay.
But
I think we will have all of the numbers done by then.
mhm.
So everybody's good with that time frame? Okay, let me just go through the Zoom windows and make sure. John, well, you won't be with us, but John,
You're right, but I think that time frame seems to work, so.
okay, Janice
That would work for me.
and Barbara.
Yeah, the time frame works for me. I am out of town for a week in December, and it may be around that time we have to meet. But I should be able, if it's a Zoom call, I should be able to sign in.
Okay. Tim,
Fine with me.
Mike,
Yes, fine.
and Charlene's here now. Charlene,
Yes, that's fine.
and for myself, yes, it's good. Okay, with that being settled, we can move on to the next item. Are there any questions before we move on? Okay. Moving on to 5.2 Library Director Report. That will be done by Director Anderson. Oh, she's here. Anderson?
Yes, hi, thank you. Jamie Anderson here. I am one of the acting co-deputy directors. Thanks for having me at your meeting today. Erica is on vacation this week, so she asked me to give the director's report. So a couple of things I wanted to emphasize. We just finished a month-long celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, and we're now commemorating LGBTQ+ History Month. We have a Sonoma County LGBTQI timeline on display all month at the Central Library. Encourage you to go check it out. It's curated by 2 local LGBTQ historians. And it's, celebrates the significant role that Sonoma County has played in LGBTQ culture and politics. It contains 6 panels that describe our history from the late 1960s to 2000. And this Saturday, we're holding a reception for the timeline at Central Library, as well as an oral history event where community members are invited to record an oral history for a new project that we kicked off this year called Hearing Queer Sonoma County, which is a project to collect stories about LGBTQ life in Sonoma County. And that will eventually become part of the library's digital collections for future generations to explore and learn from. And community members can also submit content to the Hearing Queer project through our website if there's someone that wants to do so without coming to that particular event. So things like personal narratives, essays, photos, and other creative works are what we are hoping to get from that project. Sunday hours is kind of the big thing that everyone is focused on right now. We will be starting on November 6th to have Sunday hours at all of our regional libraries. The hours will be 1 to 5 p.m., the same hours that the Central Library has had for years. We are not changing the hours at our small rural stations in Occidental and Forestville, or at our History and Genealogy Library, but all of the regional libraries will be expanding hours on Sundays. We are starting the soft marketing this week on that to get the word out and become more assertive in promoting those hours as it gets closer to November 6th. So we've spent the last probably 1 to 2 months hiring and training new employees and kind of rearranging staff schedules to make way for the new hours. And we will be emphasizing in our messaging that those Sunday hours are being 100% funded by Measure Y. We have a new commissioner, if you haven't already heard, for the joint City of Santa Rosa and Sonoma County seat, Sarah Lagos, and she attended her first commission meeting last week. And then I wanted to share updates on a couple of our building refresh projects that we're working on right now for Healdsburg and for Petaluma. So starting with Healdsburg, we've been working on the scope and discussing the upgrades that will be included in that. It's going to be moving to a single service desk, updates in the teen area, adding some automated materials handling equipment, new single occupancy, non-gendered restrooms, and then of course, new furniture, new shelving, new paint, all the typical things we do with all of our refresh projects, and updated layout, floor layout. For Petaluma, again, you may already know this, but we received word recently that the city of Petaluma received a $1.8 million grant in California State Library funds, but it's through the Building Forward Together grant for a fire suppression system. So we have been kind of on a pause with this project for a little while we waited to hear back if the city was going to be receiving this grant money or not. And so now that the good news has come in, the project is getting back on track. So we're working through a bid package, looking at furnishings and getting an MOU underway with the city for that project. And then lastly, the new Roseland Regional Library project is making significant progress. That library will be part of a 6-acre, what they're calling Hearn Hub community project that's spearheaded by the city of Santa Rosa. It's to include a community pool, a fire station, and a community center. And the library will be part of that. A community needs assessment is underway right now. And we've had an overwhelming amount of support for this project. The funds committed right now in the library portion of the project is close to 20 million. 10 million from the city of Santa Rosa, 1 million from State Assembly member Mark Levine, 5 million from Senate Majority Leader Mike McGuire, and then most recently the 3.5 million from the Federated Indians of Great and Rancheria. So the Sonoma County Public Library Foundation is currently planning a capital campaign kickoff, starting with a breakfast at the Central Santa Rosa Library on November 10th. And they will be planning to announce other substantial gifts at that breakfast and kind of unveil a campaign video that they've been working on and beginning the work of closing the gap on the remaining funding that we need to kickstart that project. The campaign slogan is actually together, we're building a 21st century library system, and Roseland Library is the next step. But we're looking to have that capital campaign be a system-wide campaign that can support all of our libraries and different branch and building needs. And that concludes my report.
Great, a lot of good detail there. Does anyone have any questions?
I just want to say how delighted I am that the libraries are finally going to be open on Sunday. Finally.
Anyone else? Agreed. Okay, if nothing else, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next item, 5.3, financial reports.
I would like to start off by saying that and just recalling that in this fiscal year, FY 2023, which started on July 1st, the commission adopted a new policy on for the allocation of major revenues, which is two revenues, the property tax and the Measure Y sales tax. And during that time of vetting and reviewing this policy, I presented the policy to the Measure Y Oversight Committee. And within that policy, it shows how revenues and expenditures would be allocated across those two major funds. And so I wanted to share that chart with you, if I may. Am I allowed to do that? I'm gonna open this. There we go. Lisa, may I share my screen?
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What do you see? My notes or the one slide?
Both.
Both.
Both. Okay. I need to do this. Great.
Oh, that's what we were
Eh.
seeing.
Now what do you see?
Yes.
The report.
Your It's your summary chart.
Okay, great. So this is, in summary, this is the policy in a nutshell. So when you, for this fiscal year, this did not apply for last fiscal year that ended on June 30th, 2022, but starting July 1, 2022, we've been applying the expenditures in this fashion according to these percentages. And so all expenditures under the public services, service-oriented divisions, which includes the public services, collections, communications, information technology, and facilities, expenditures have been split 60% allocated to property tax and 40% to Measure Y. Under the administration divisions, executive services, administrative services, it's all combined with budget and finance, human resources, and fund development. The expenditures are applied 90% to property tax and 10% to Measure Y. When it comes to capital projects, the expenditures are 10% allocated to property tax and 90% to Measure Y. It was agreed that in order to make Sunday hours possible, Measure Y, it was the only way that we could make Sunday hours possible and absorb those costs was to allocate this to Measure Y. Measure Y has had the funding, and it was one of the areas discussed under the ordinance and to the voters. So the commission adopted to allocate Sunday hour positions and other related costs 100% to Measure Y. Workers' comp and the health reimbursement accounts, which are across the board for all employees, with the majority, under service-oriented divisions, those costs are shared 60% towards property tax and 40% to Measure Y. As you may be aware, the commission several years ago adopted to set up an OPEB trust and to set aside $750,000 every year from operating expenditure, operating revenue, and that is allocated 100% to property tax.
Sorry,
So
Mark, I don't know what an OPEB trust is.
Okay, so there is unfunded liability when it comes to medical benefits for retirees.
Mhm.
And so there is the library is setting aside funds for that cost.
Okay.
And so that, does that help?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so I wanted to share this with you and then go into the summary page just as an overview, and then go into I know that there are reports here that are not specific to Measure Y, but it is an overall picture of the financial status of the library. So I'm going to stop to share, and I'm going to allow Lisa to go ahead and bring up the summary page.
We do have a quick question from Tim.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would find that chart, oops, I'm on mute. No, I'm not. I would find that chart a little bit more helpful if in the left-hand column, I saw what percentage of the budget each of those items was. Do you understand what I'm saying? In other words, let's throw out 60% of the total budget was the first item. I don't know what percentage of the budget is for administration. It would help me make it more real, because the 10%, I'm not sure about how much of the budget that is actually. Am I being clear?
Yes, I understand. Let's see if I may have something that is helpful right now.
Yeah, that's one of the questions we've asked before, like when we're looking at the budget, let's say it's 500,000, if 60% is 500,000, then the other portion comes out of Measure Y. That is something that the committee has asked in previous years. So the breakdown is great, but we just need to have those numbers next to it. So we get, oh, okay, 10%.
Perfect. I'll share something with you right now that at the time, there have been some budget adjustments, but at the time that and I think I could make even further adjustments to a document to help you, to help clarify. But I'm going to share this slide with you. This was part of what was presented to the commission at the time of going over the budget. So those 60 and all of those percentages are here in dollars. And so total, as you could, ooh, why did that happen? Oh no. There we go. So all the percentages that I just showed you in the previous slide are depicted here in dollars. And I could try to combine them both so that you can see that. But if you do break it out, the service-oriented divisions, this would be 60%. This is, the total is 33 million. So this should be 60%. This should be 40%. Is this something that would be helpful?
Yes, and so could
Yes.
this slide be sent to us by email?
Yes, and again, I could make a note that this was presented at the time the budget was adopted, and since then there have been some budget adjustments that the commission during their September meeting they adopted. So this is this would have changed by now. But there's a date down here that this is as of June 6th, 2022. But I will send that over to the committee. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yvette, can I ask why we had a one-time additional payment to the 115 trust? What was the rationale behind that?
Oh, no, this is a policy. I think it was established either in 2018 or 2019. And at that time, the commission set aside quite a bit of funding for this. And going forward, it's they make an additional payment annually of $750,000.
This is catching up for the unfunded liabilities, right?
Yes, for health benefits.
Yeah, but it's listed as a one-time payment, but in essence, it isn't. We're doing it every year to catch up.
Oh no. Oh yes. Okay, so I'm sorry. The 750,000 is annual, and this year, for this fiscal year, the commission wanted to make an additional one-time payment to reflect what the unfunded liability was prior to Measure Y. So with the annual payment of 750,000 plus the 128 one time, they would have caught up with the unfunded liability that is in our audits for pre-Measure Y.
Okay.
Okay. I'm
Any
going to stop
additional
share and I will.
questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Any additional questions before we move on? Okay, Myrna.
Okay, I'll stop share. And Lisa, if you could go to the summary. If you could make that bigger. Okay. I hope everyone can see this.
And these figures already have the allocation the way you presented, right?
Yeah, yes, they do for the most part, but we have a little bit of growing pains and transition. So there, in the month of August and October, I've been making some adjustments because a couple of invoices were not, I'm checking regularly to make sure that our the split is applied. And so a couple of invoices were not applied according to the splits. So I will be making some adjustments that you'll see in later reports. But I'm very cognizant of those splits, and I'm working with my staff and we're aware of them. But one area that is that the library has tried to think about how to allocate more appropriately over the two funds has been benefits. So and I think it's because if you do a deep dive and you ask more questions, there is a way of doing it. But for example, all healthcare premiums were being charged throughout the year to property tax. And then at the end of the year, a transaction to correct that and allocate the portion related to sales tax was entered at the end of the fiscal year. I have found a way to get reports that break out those expenditures so that I can identify what employees are in administration divisions and what employees are in the public service oriented divisions. And that's turned out to be very helpful, so that when we make those payments, we can allocate them not only across Measure Y and property tax, but also allocate, the collections divisions costs and IT cost, IT health costs, and so on and so forth, which is a good practice to do. So those are the areas where I'm still working out the allocation, so we don't get one big lump invoice, but that we get detailed reports so that we can allocate the costs to reflect where they're being spent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's an area where you'll probably see some reallocations, just because I want to make sure that they're being allocated properly. But yes, to answer your question, we're applying those percentages that you saw in the first chart, and for the most part reflected here in these reports. So in the summary, I just wanted to say that, as you can see, the first, we don't, as you know, with property tax, there's 2 times in the year where the majority of those revenues come in, and that's in December and in April. So they would not be reflected here. And regarding Measure Y, as you know, Measure Y receipts are lag 2 months, have a 2-month lag. So the first receipt is actually shown in our September reports, and therefore, September, when we post something in September, it's really the receipts for July. So you don't see any receipts here for July or August, because we did not, for this fiscal year, we don't receive it until September. And if you could scroll down, all the way down, just to get, go on. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So if you can see here that total expenditures through the month of August were $6.4 million. And I wanted to then now go to the Measure Y schedule. And most of those expenditures are salaries and benefits. Of $4 million. When it comes to Measure Y, you can see that the total expenditures under Measure Y are $1.9 million. And you have all the detail. So that's, you have all the detail in by account on how these, what the expenditures were for these 2 months. So with that, you know, I will take any questions.
Are there any questions?
Okay, I'm not finding the line you were discussing with the $1.9 million. What-
Okay, so Lisa, if you go to the property tax expenditures,
Too
I
far.
think it's page 2.
Am I on the right page?
No, page 2 of the property tax. I think there's 2 pages for property tax expenditures.
Is it this one here?
It's real tiny. I cannot see. That looks right. But if you scroll to, I never get this right. Scroll left. I mean, right. It's really, really tiny. And it's, this is,
Right, but we're looking at property tax now, right? Not,
yeah, you have to find the sales tax sheet.
well, what about back on your summary page? Wasn't that what you were referring to?
Oh, here, I think this is it. Measure Y sales tax. Here it is, right?
Yes, and it's page 2.
Page 2 of this. Okay. Aha, okay.
Okay, if you can make that bigger towards the bottom. There we go, 1.9 million. You can stop. $1.9. Those are the total, not the negative, the total up on top, 1.9.
Okay, and what is at the top of that column?
Yeah, what's that page?
That's year to date.
Okay,
What's the title of this page?
year-to-date total.
Budget year to date now.
So those are the expenditures year to date. This, the format of this report is changing per request of the Finance Committee. So it'll be condensed. So the month of August is the last time you see this format where you see prior year actuals, just to condense it and
Okay.
simplify the report. So that $1.9 million is the total of all of the detailed accounts above that. And for capital projects, it's the expenditures for those 2 months have been 90,000. That's going to change because of some invoices that were allocated, not allocated to the percentages. So that will change. And as Jamie Anderson stated, is that we do have scheduled refreshes for this year. So that's those expenditures will go up as we start those projects.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move forward to the next item, which is Library Commission.
Sorry about that. I'm Deborah Doyle. I'm the Library Commission Chair, and I will make this brief. Jamie did a fabulous job talking about most of the things that are going on with the library. I will say that Ann Hammond is settling nicely into Florida. That's good. But Erica Thibault is doing a fabulous job as the interim library director. That said, we have a due diligence. We've hired a search firm to do a thorough search for a new library director, and that search is getting started. It shouldn't. We're hopeful that it's not going to take too terribly long. We have an experienced search firm, and you may remember Susan Hildreth. She might be helping with the search a little bit, and then also another library director, a retired library director who has a lot of experience in California libraries, is also part of the recruiting team as well. But I can't give you a date necessarily on when we're going to have that done. Still, Erica's doing a fine job. We are, as you are, we are still missing members of our commission, and are just as frustrated as you are in not having folks here on this committee. However, the good news is, as Jamie said, we have a new Santa Rosa, Sonoma County appointee. She joined us at the last commission meeting, and the county still has not appointed a replacement for Commissioner Mulford, who died almost a year ago. However, I have heard that there may be some movement in that. You're the first group to hear that, although sometimes they say that. So we're looking forward to that, and but we are also still looking for an appointee for the Cloverdale seat, and so that is an open search. If you have friends who are in that neighborhood who want to do good things for the library, please let us know. As Jamie said, the foundation is launching its fundraising campaign for the Roseland branch. We're so very excited about that. And the great thing is, because we've just done the new facilities master plan, and because we've seen the enthusiasm of the community for really listening to the community and building a center that the community wants, I think that has then inspired people to think that every community in Sonoma County is probably the same way. And so we think that we can really use the Roseland project as a way to use the information that we have gathered through the facilities master plan, and also the people that we meet who are supporting the Roseland campaign, to really take a larger look at the library system in the county. That'll take a while, but let's try to get through Roseland first. But we're looking forward to doing that. I think that's all.
Hey, any questions or comments?
I have a question from a while ago, and it may have been answered in a way I didn't understand. Forgive me. Are the tax initiative funds being used at all for Roseland?
Oh, yeah.
How much and how and what is that was part of the amount that is gathered? I was unclear on that.
For the temporary or for the permanent?
Permanent.
No.
You know, I'm not sure that I can give you a nuanced answer to that, so I can get the information, and Jamie, unless you want to take it, but we can get information back to you. Because I don't want to say something and then have to come back and say, no, I was wrong.
Okay.
All right. And thanks,
There-
Jim.
There are related expenditures with the new Roseland. There has been outreach conducted by our group, our contractors, and those costs have been split at this time across both funds.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question? Okay. All right, moving on. We are going to action item by motion. Any nominations for vice chair? Feel free to nominate yourself. Anybody would like to tackle that? Mike? Did I
I'll
just
do it
see
if
your
nobody
hand?
else wants to do it. If someone else can do it, if no one else can do it, I'll be glad to do it.
But I think I may have seen Tim hand go up.
Okay, good. I'll take my hand down.
Was I seeing that correct?
I was yawning. Don't give me an office for yawn.
I think that counts for volunteering, right?
Okay, if no one else, we're gonna retract him and go back to Mike. Anyone else? Okay, I do believe we have to still do a vote, right? And a motion. Can I get a motion?
Sure, this is John. I'll go ahead and make a motion. I make a motion to nominate Mike Neely, for the vice chair for this MeasureWise subcommittee.
And I second the motion.
So Tim, you can second that, huh?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can second.
He raised his hand. I think that means volunteering.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do roll call in favor of Mike Neely becoming vice chair. We're gonna go ahead and start with Janice,
Yes, definitely. I'm thrilled.
John,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Tim, of course,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Charlene,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So motion carries with all yays. Okay, moving on to the next item. For the date and time of our next meeting, we will have to do offline, find out from everyone when they are available. So that is to be determined after we do our pool of dates. Unless you guys want to try to tackle that now.
Well, didn't we pretty much decide it had to be between the 12th and 16th of December? So
Correct.
my suggestion is you just put that out, to the doodle poll as we've done in the past with given those dates and pick the best one.
Okay. Okay. If we're on agreement with that, we'll go ahead and do the doodle poll. We have any comments or questions about that so we can move on?
Can you get that? That's Ellen. I'm almost done.
Okay. If nothing else, we're gonna go ahead and move to adjournment. Is there any last comments or questions? Okay.
Thank you, Yvette.
Thank you. We made it by 1 minute. Okay, thank you all. I will be in contact with those of you and we will be working to set up our next meeting. So look for emails coming from Lisa and myself in relation to the subcommittee and then our next date. If nothing else, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for your
Bye-bye.
work.
Thank you.
Right. When do I get out of here?